Hello, so today we're going to do a different kind of video. I was on holiday this week, so unfortunately there's no studio vlog. But today I thought I'd talk about 5 things that I would do differently if I was to start my business again in 2024. It'll range from stuff to do with Etsy, on social media, and other few little bits. So I did a few posts on TikTok that spoke a little bit about this, but I thought I would just delve into it a little bit more and explain why. So anyway, let's get on with it. So number 1, I'm going to speak a little bit about Etsy. Do I regret starting things on Etsy? Absolutely not. If I was to do it again, I'd just probably still start on Etsy. And this is because if you don't have an audience already, Etsy is fantastic, because they do, when you get to a certain point, start pushing your products out to people, and people might just search for the products that you sell anyway. If I was to do this again, I'd probably research more into Etsy. From an outsider's perspective, 2 years ago when I was looking at Etsy, I had no idea about the copyright laws, which I know sounds so stupid, but I saw people on there making fan art of certain things, and at the time I was super into Animal Crossing. The first bit of art I created that I was going to post on Etsy was a print of ketchup from Animal Crossing. I'll put a little thing here which shows you what it was. So that was the first thing I ever listed on Etsy. I had no idea that that was bad, just because I saw so many other people doing like Disney and stuff, so I had no idea that I couldn't sell that. So if I was to do it all again, I'd probably do a little bit more research of what is and what isn't okay. Obviously now it sort of seems common sense that that wasn't okay, but at the time I honestly had no idea. Secondly, to do with Etsy, I would start with more products. I think when I first started Etsy, I had 5 products and that was it, and that's how much I had for like months. I had no idea that you had to sort of have like around 50 listings for Etsy to start pushing your stuff out. I know there's not an official figure that says how many listings it takes for Etsy to start sort of taking you a bit more seriously, but in my experience, when I got to 50 listings, that's when everything started to go a bit better on Etsy for me. So if I was to do it again, I would definitely have more listings, probably about 20 just ready to go, just to give myself a bit more of a chance rather than sitting there thinking, why are my things not selling? It's also pretty normal for when you start your Etsy shop for stuff to not sell. I think I was quite lucky because I had researched into listings and SEO and stuff, because that's just something that I'm genuinely interested in, especially with doing my degree. It's something that interests me. So I was quite lucky in the fact that I knew about keywords and stuff. But I think again, if I hadn't have known anything about that, I would have been screwed. I also wish that I knew about the Etsy calculator. So there's a fee calculator online. I will put a screenshot again of that here. I wish I knew about that when I started, and to be fair, I still need to use this a bit better just to figure out how I should be pricing my items so that I'm not at a loss. But yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you're going to start a business or if you're selling on Etsy already, make sure you use the Etsy fee calculator just so you know exactly how much you're taking and how much Etsy is, just to make sure that you're not underpricing your items and not making a profit off of anything. So number 2, I'm going to speak a little bit about social media. If you know anything about me, you know I love social media from a business point of view. Although it is super frustrating at times, I do really like it for business, not so much personally, but a lot for business. If I was to start again and start my social medias again, like from scratch, the number 1 thing that I would never ever do again was do follow trains. On my first week of doing TikTok in 2022, I gained 1,000 followers. You're probably thinking, that's really good. How do you do that? Follow trains. Did any of those actually care about what I was posting? Absolutely not. They were just following me, so I'd follow them back. Because that's not a good way to build an audience. Although it was fantastic, so I got to 1,000 followers and I could put my link in my bio, it just wasn't a good way of doing it. Those people could not give a crap about what I was posting and the products I was selling, this, that and the other. So I'd avoid follow trains and try and grow authentically. There's many ways to do this. It does take time, but I think the more you post and the more you relate and engage your audience, the better it gets. And on the same lines of engagement, I think that it's so important to, from the start, be authentically you on social media. I know some people aren't comfortable with putting their faces or voices on social media, but I wish that I was more myself to start off with, rather than sort of being what I thought people wanted and being overly inspired from other influencers and stuff. It's sort of in the same niche. Some of my old videos are still on TikTok, and sometimes I watch them or I get, oh, this was on this day a year or 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so awful. But it's fine, like, it was a learning curve, and I know that now if I'm authentically me, I will find people that are similar to me, that are interested in my products, that are interested in what I've got to do. Because at the end of the day, if you're a small business like me who sells stationery and tumblers and cups and mugs, there's so many other small businesses that do that, and the unique selling point of your business is it's yours, that you're the owner and that people want to support you. As well as when you're more yourself, you will attract people that are very similar. So I think that once I started being myself, I started making more friends within the community and was more open, and people are engaging with me more. So it's just a lot better overall. It's very hard to do, and there is ways to do this without having to show your face or voice. Even just making jokes in your video on text and stuff, and just showing a bit more of your personality rather than being like a corporate brand. Because if you're a small business like me, you're not a corporate brand, you're a person person who's just trying to do what they love. So number 3 was not buying equipment impulsively, which I was an absolute sucker for. I bought my Cricut and had no idea how to use it, what I was really going to use it for. I think my idea was stickers. I just wanted a Cricut to make stickers. Did I need a Cricut to make stickers? Absolutely not. I could have outsourced them and they probably would have been a lot of better quality to start off with. You don't need the equipment when you're starting out. Although it can seem more expensive to outsource, it's probably better to start off outsourcing to start off with, because setup costs are lower. Whereas I spent like £300 on a Cricut right away, and then I fortunately already had a printer, and then I was like, oh, my printer's rubbish, let's get a new one. And I spent £400 on a printer that I absolutely hate. And then further down the line, I've now got 4 printers in total. The printer I bought, which was the cheapest, is my absolute favourite. It is amazing. It's a HP and I love that printer, but I didn't buy that until I felt like I needed it, until I felt like, okay, I need to actually increase the quality. So I think that it's so important to evaluate your other options before buying the equipment. You need to think about if you absolutely need them right now. And I think if I was to go back in time, I would have outsourced my stickers, I would have outsourced my prints and see how things go, because there is lots of places where they offer small amounts of stuff and you don't have to buy lots. Something I am happy that I did was wait to buy my heat press. I do have heat press and a sublimation sort of setup now, and I'm glad I waited and didn't jump into it like sort of head on, which is what I do with most things, because I got a heat press which is also a mug press, this, that and the other, and I think that that was the best financial move for me, and I paid for it all with my business money. So it's important to look at options before just jumping in and buying equipment. I feel like you should work towards getting that rather than just doing it straight away unless you can absolutely afford to. But yeah, I think it's so important to think about whether you need that equipment now or if you can wait for it. So number 4 is not having sales doesn't mean you're failing, and to use that time effectively. So when I was first starting, I rarely got sales. My most sales were from my family and friends, which I was so grateful for, but I barely got sales. And I thought, oh my God, nobody wants my stuff, it's so rubbish. But in reality, there's probably other things I could have done in that time rather than stressing that nobody likes my stuff. So I could have improved my photos, which I still need to do now. I could have improved lots of different things instead of sort of moping about how I've got no sales. I think that as well, if you aren't getting any sales, also remember just to relax. It's okay. Cost of living crisis, you know, don't get too stressed about it. It doesn't mean that your stuff is bad, it's just you haven't found the right audience yet, and that's okay. When you're starting off, it's hard to find that audience unless you're super lucky. I think that I'm very, very lucky in a situation now where I pretty much get sales every day, and I'm so, so grateful for that. But I think, for example, if I had a bit day tomorrow to spend on my business, I had no orders to do, I would probably spend the day taking new photos for my products or bettering my SEO or working on my website. Like, there's so much to do. Sometimes if you don't have orders, it's kind of a blessing. You can do other things that you've been meaning to do. I'm not saying that you shouldn't order from me and that I don't want any orders, by the way, so please order. So number 5 sort of links with what I was saying about social media and about being authentic about yourself. So when I first started my Etsy business, I was very, very, very inspired by other creators, specifically sort of more the kawaii sort of creators, and that isn't me. It really isn't, and I just thought that those products sold and people loved them, and to be fair, they did at the time, but I felt like a fraud and an imposter by making these products that I don't particularly love and don't particularly represent me. So I think that it's so important, even though if you might not start off with just trying to do what actually makes you happy instead of doing what other people want. Because I think when you start doing things that you want to do rather than what you think other people want to do, you become more passionate about it and you want to put more energy into. And I think when you put more passion and energy into something, people are more likely to see how much you love that and want to support you, whether that's buying something or just supporting you online, or, you know, people are more likely to support you because you're doing something you love rather than sort of trying to fit in or be overly inspired by other creators. So yeah, sorry if this video was super, super short. I just wanted to try and get this up for Monday if possible, so apologies if it's a little bit later. So if you did like this video and want me to do more content like this, please don't forget to like or comment. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if you do like my content and want to see a bit more of me, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next Monday. Thanks again for watching. Bye.